Most people don't have a book problem, they have a visibility problem. Most good work doesn't fail, it just gets lost. Today, I'm actually going to take the time to walk you through exactly, specifically, cleanly, and clearly the new talk that I put together that's kind of the framework of everything that I ever teach all y'all to do. And I'm joining you to to listen in. I'm going to do a couple of administrative kind of things that when I do this live, I don't have to do, when I'm on stage, but that I need to do today so that I can invite some people in, and so that you can really just enjoy it with me. I really appreciate you. I'm looking forward to being here with you today as we really just dive deep into the whole concept of exactly where your book fits. Not all of the maybe hype that's out there, but the real truth behind why bestseller is only the beginning, as I wrote in my book, and exactly what you can do to make it work specifically, cleanly, and clearly for you. I'm really looking forward to being able to do that today with you. Like I said, just a couple more little little things here now, and then I will bring up the slideshow and we will get rolling. Okay, let's try this one more time here. Okay. All the things that you got to do when you're running a live all by yourself. Um, there's something to be said for production teams and an AV team and all of that kind of stuff. But we don't have any of that today. Today, we just got you and me, and we're going to hang out here together and we're going to have a great time going through all of this together. All right, let's get things going here. From the beginning, there we go. We want this one to be over here or not. Okay. How do I do that so that, no, need to be able to, okay. That could be interesting. All right. Well, we're just going to kind of roll with it and we will make it work here. It's been a while since I've used StreamYard to do a live like this. So we're just going to go for it and have a lot of fun doing it. Okay. So let me turn on our slide presentation. Florina and Brian, glad to have you here with us. Appreciate you joining in today. Let me share the screen. Let me find the right one. PowerPoint slide. Is that it? Yes. Okay. So now you should be seeing the slides. Hopefully you are. Let me do one other thing here. Yeah, I can do that. Maybe we can make this work. Okay. So yeah, now you can see it. Perfect. All right. So what you don't know about putting your voice into a best-selling book and why that book should be the foundation of your entire business. Every single last thing that you do in business is going to be based off of being the person who wrote the book on it. Obviously, what you do is cool in the world and people want to be with you, but they want even more so to hire the person who wrote the book on it. And not just the book, but the best-selling book on it. Want you to take and put that word bestseller into your vocabulary. Think about that from a marketing standpoint for a second. When you say, I am the best-selling author of, how powerful is that? When you even do something as simple as your intro or a free giveaway or those kind of things, to be able to say, this is 5 things that I put together for you today to tell you about. All right. Like, for example, this talk, I can say, hey, this is a talk based out of the 40 years that I've spent in business. And that's powerful. But when I say this is the talk that's built out of the #1 international best-selling book that I wrote on the concept of this, how much more powerful is that verbiage? Okay, so this is why it's going to be the foundation for your entire business. Okay, I was literally born into media. I'm a New Year's baby. I was born January 1st, 1967. For those of you that want to do the quick math, that's 59 years ago, a little bit more than now, in a little town called called Mitchell, South Dakota. Um, wasn't actually even, though I was born at like 1:20 a.m., wasn't even the first baby born in the little tiny town of Mitchell, South Dakota. But I was the first baby born in the hospital that I was born in. And my picture ended up in the paper of cute little baby Steve. Um, whereas the other child got some presents and stuff like that, I was in media right from the very beginning. I have spent my life visible and valuable and on stage with people, sharing who I am and trying to make a difference in the world. The first time that I sang on stage, I did it with my two older brothers. They're both 5.5 and 7 years older than me. And my parents had the three of us up there singing a song on stage, little 5-year-old me, with my two older brothers, who were, of course, much taller than I am. And the very first thing that I did when the music started is I reached up, pulled the microphone down in front of my mouth, and then sang at the top of my voice, which, in other words, means that you wouldn't have needed the microphone to hear me anyway. Um, my two brothers have both agreed that that was a pivotal moment in their life. My oldest brother says that that was when he knew that he was not a performer and never would be. And the other brother says that that was the moment that I destroyed any possibility he ever had of having a music career. I went on from there. By the time I was 18, this is my graduation picture way back, oh my gosh, 41 years ago when I was graduating from high school, and poised and ready to go out. I ended up on a world tour that summer, right after I left, in fact, a couple of days after graduation, to go out to training camp in Los Angeles. And then we traveled the world the whole entire summer. And I've been speaking and performing and in front of people ever since then, talking to groups of one and twos and talking in front of, groups of tens of thousands. Blessed to be able to spend my life. So everything I'm talking about today isn't based in some kind of concept of something that is theoretical, but it's really just based out of a lived life experience, because I have worked with more than 5,000 authors now, helping them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything else that goes beyond that. I've walked alongside of them and helped them on their journey from unseen to heard. But here's the thing, even with the people that I've worked with, we've got some people in this room that I've helped make bestsellers. How many of you are best-selling authors now? Yeah, okay. Um, Bestsellers only the beginning. And you have to have a follow-up with that. You have to have the visibility, because the visibility is the work. It's what's really truly going to get the thing done. I can tell people what it takes to truly be seen, to be heard, and to get paid. And I also have seen all too often what quietly doesn't work. Because most people, in fact, I would say probably all people, don't have a book problem. If you don't have a book, that's a problem, and you do definitely need one. It is the foundational element to all of your marketing. Your marketing will never make the level that it could until you have a book. But even then, you don't have a book problem. You have a visibility problem, because visibility is ultimately the thing that is going to make the difference in this world for you. The visibility in front of people is what's going to allow you to use your voice, that light, that you that is inside of you. That's the signal. That is the thing that the world is screaming out for. In fact, I promise you, there's somebody right now that's on ChatGPT or Google or Grok or some other type of search engine or AI, and they're looking for the solution that is something that you do with such grace and ease that you probably don't even think of it as what your signature talk should be or the product or good that you should be talking about. It's definitely not the book you've written. And yet, out of the core of that, out of that heart of who you are, is your voice. And your voice is a signal. I want to actually jump into helping you identify whether you know it really clearly or you're like, man, I still struggle with that, because I know a lot of people do. I want to help you identify what exactly is that signal. What is your voice? So let me ask you, what's the one thing you just can't stop talking about? That thing that when it comes up, you always have something to say about it. For those of us that have or have had teenagers, um, that thing that whenever the subject comes up, they roll their eyes and they goes, oh, here goes mom again. She's going to go off on this whole subject. I wish you hadn't brought it up. The thing that when you're bringing your new girlfriend home, you tell them it's like, now, when we want to avoid this particular topic because, you know, you don't want my dad to go off on this particular issue, and he totally will. If it even comes up, he's going to take over, and that's all we're going to talk about the rest of the night. What is that thing? It lights you up. It's something you always have something to talk about it. It's the conversation that you always return to. And it's also that thing that's been showing up your entire life, different ways. It showed up differently when you were 5. Maybe deep inside of you is that desire to really change the world. You really want to make an impact. And when you were 5 years old, like I was, I remember somebody came to the door and they were collecting for March of Dimes, I think it was, if memory serves correctly. And, I'm 5. I didn't really have a whole lot of money. Maybe I was 6 then, but little kid. I didn't really have a job or any money quite yet. We'll get to that story maybe later. But I thought all of a sudden, I've got a quarter in my desk or on my dresser or whatever it was. And I ran. I said, hold on a second. I ran and got the quarter, and I came and I gave them the quarter. And I felt so good about that, because that heart, that soul, that spirit of the giver, that same thing that has me on stage talking to you today to help you be able to impact the world, that's always shown up in the times when I've gone off on things because I'm passionate about it. But when you really start drilling down on that, even when you talk about me talking about books, it has to do with that real desire to help magnify who you are and what you do in the world. So, what is that one thing you can't stop talking about? I want you to think of that as the bullseye, that one specific thing that you could talk about forever. Because as we break down the anatomy of where your impact is really going to come from, it's going to start from that center target bullseye one thing. Now, it may not be that one thing that you're always saying is exactly it. It may be that is secret. That's a clue to the heart and soul and core of who you are. For example, maybe what you do is you're constantly saying to your kids, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room. Why are you telling your children to clean up their room? Is it because you're some kind of maniac that just, needs to be cruel to your children? In most cases, probably not. It may be that you grew up in a very dirty household, and the one thing that you always promised yourself is that you'd have a very clean house. Sometimes people need it. They need that order in the chaos that is life. Sometimes it's about it's about a person teaching their child a skill set. Both all the psychological things that they talk about, the impact that it has if you make your bed every morning as soon as you get out of it. There's also the other side to that, where you learn that there is a real freedom that comes from giving yourself permission to not make your bed when you get out of it in the morning. All of those things, though, those are your passion. Those are the things you're passionate about. What I want you to do now is take a look deeper at that. Ask yourself why. Why am I passionate about that? It's not just because I'm a tyrant and I want to make sure that my children have to, bust their hump all day long doing work around the house. I want them to learn this thing. I believe in this thing. That passion that shows up in the fiery capability that I have to talk. The why beneath it is the purpose. It's the real you. It's how you show up. Like going back to the story that I talked about, me being a giver, me being somebody who really wants to change and impact the world, whether it be a 5-year-old giving a quarter, or it be an 18-year-old traveling the world, sharing and singing the love of Jesus and making a difference in the world, or it be working with over 5,000 authors, helping them write, publish, and market their books. All of those have that underlying structure of the fact that I want to help share you with the world. I want to empower you to be able to do that. And that comes through in everything that I do. That's the purpose behind it. And then the even deeper question is, okay, so I know what that passion statement is. I know why now. I know the purpose beneath it. Who's that for? What could I use that for, and who would it help? That's when we begin to go from having the 8 billion people in the world that every single solitary one of them should have our product, to being at a place where we're focused on just a single person, one person that we can make an impact in. And that's what moves you into the place where you can make an impact, you can serve, you can make the difference in the life of the person that you're meant to serve. When you move that passion down into the deeper why, the purpose. And most importantly, you then find out how you can use it for the who it's meant to. Does that make sense? I tell you what, let's put this into action. Let's do it right now. Every single one of you has a piece of paper. Those of you that are watching while you're on the live stream today, you don't have the paper, but live, I'm going to be passing out a thing. Grab a piece of paper, sticky notes, back of a napkin. I've seen people do all kinds of things with that. Let's actually write the outline for your book right now. Let's write your book right now. I'm a big geek. I did a whole bunch of research on books, and found out that there's basically 4 sections to every book and 4 key things that make a book. The number one piece of that goes back to what we've been talking about, your voice, how you authentically show up in the world. And then there's the 4-part structure to actually just the layout of every single book, fiction or nonfiction. Okay, and I'm going to walk you through those here in just a second. Beneath that is, what value is it bringing to the world? It could be a nonfiction or a fiction book, and it could be for entertainment. It could be a nonfiction book, and it could be to teach a really powerful perspective on something. And after all of that becomes action. The action could be as simple, again, in the case of a fiction book, it could be just purely giving people that break that we all need in life. Entertainment purposes, those kind of things. But actions can go even deeper than that. And we're going to look at this structure on the outline, and we're going to do it. What I encourage you to do, put a big circle in the middle of the paper. Okay? That big circle. Now you're going to draw lines north, south, east, and west, if you will, from those. But I want to concentrate on the middle of that circle for a second. In that circle, it says title here on this slide, but I want you to think about it more as that passion, that purpose beneath that passion, that what that you're talking about. What is specifically? Now, some of you have a polished, wonderful, you have a great title for it. You've really worked it out. Put that in there. For others of you, it's like, hey, I've learned just in what we're talking about here as we've gone deep into it, I've learned that I need to be talking more about this kind of thing. Okay, now I'm going to encourage you. You want to take a point. You want to make it really clear and give them a clear action on that. And when there is a second point, because there will be, You want to give them a second book. You want to not try to put all of that into one book. It becomes overwhelming for people, and we want to help people move one step at a time. Okay? So just make a note for yourself in there. All right? That's what we're going to do with that. That's going to be our quote unquote working title for our book. All right? So now let's concentrate on that line going east or to the right of the circle. We buy from people that we know, like, and trust. People need to understand who we are, why we're talking about the thing we're doing, why they should trust us, all those kind of things. Same thing would be true in a fiction book. In a fiction book, we need to like the characters. If the main character in the story is not somebody that you like, you're not going to read the whole rest of the story. If you hate that person, you'll move on to another book. In a nonfiction book, it's even more important, because if we're going to teach somebody something, first we got to get their buy-in. We've got to get them to be like, okay, I want to hear what this person has to say about it. I want to hear why that little baby Steve that was taking a picture, why he now has earned the right to be able to talk to us about putting our voice into things. And hopefully I at least intrigued you enough to keep you around. All right? We're going to break down this who you are into 3 parts. This is who I am today, but it hasn't always been that way. And this is what I learned. But don't worry, I'm going to walk you through that. First, this is who I am today. Now, we're not talking about, and I drive this really fancy car and I've got all this money in the bank. It's none of those kind of things. It is simply about showing the reader what life could look like after they've put in the solution that you're going to offer them in this book. We're painting the picture for them of that. Now, I could, and if you want to have a talk with me individually about fiction, we can totally apply this to fiction, but we're just going to kind of run through this outline relatively quickly. We're going to do it in about 5 more or maybe 10 at the most minutes here today. But we could totally apply this to fiction as well. But let's just concentrate on nonfiction. So we're painting the picture of what life could be, what the solution of doing that thing, how good life can be. But then we got to get real. We need to learn the concept of being vulnerable and valuable. In our vulnerability, we connect with one another. It's so easy for us to feel isolated, to feel like nobody really understands what's going on in my life. And when somebody else can be vulnerable and can share those difficult times, share what they've gone through, it's in those moments that we then really, truly connect. The person can be like, oh, I'm not alone in this. Somebody else knows what it's like to be that haggard parent who has a brand new toddler that gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and runs nonstop until nap time. It's hard to even keep them tied down into the chair to sit and eat a meal. Right? Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. How do I not just lose it? I mean, there's somebody out there that's got that book to write. Totally powerful kind of stuff. For other people, it's about other things that you're later in life and you're looking back and you're saying, I'm 59 now. I wish I could have told that picture of 18-year-old Steve. I wish I could have shared with him some of the things that he already was doing in marketing and would learn even more so over the course of the next 41 years. All of the things that he needed to do to market the stuff he was doing. Because the fail point that I've had has been, while marketing millionaires, billionaires, stay-at-home moms, all kinds of people, the person I've been horrible at marketing has been myself. It's a harsh reality. In fact, even though I now have 41 number 1 international best-selling books, even though I have that, the truth is that when you come to the beginning of 2020, I had I was in a few books. I mean, I was probably already in about 12 books. One of those is actually a book that I wrote that was way too huge. It ended up having to have to be a 10-book series. So that's kind of cheating in a way, when you can get 11 or 12 of those books out of one writing session that you did. And sometimes some of the story fiction books that I've written have turned out that way too. The story is just so huge that it just couldn't be in one story. But it was only 5, 6 years ago that I was only at a handful of books. And I said to one of the people that works with me, I said, I need to be putting out a book. Like, if I tell people it's so easy, in fact, I'll tell you it right now, your book could literally be done this time next month. We have a process completely in place to be able to do that very quickly for you. Not to, not to put out a bad book, but just to understand the structure that we're showing you here and how to do it. And I wasn't doing that for myself. What I learned is I'm learning the process of applying in my own business, in my own life, all the things that I've done for so many other people, that I've helped others make millions. Now it's time to help me do that too. Did you see the process of that? This is who I am today. It wasn't always that way. And this is what I learned. Okay? So the next part, we just really want to tell them the solution. It breaks down really easy. We're going to tell them what we're going to tell them, and then we're going to teach it to them, and then we're going to review, this is what I taught you. Don't think of these as chapters, okay? Any one of these 4 sections could be one chapter. It could be 20 chapters all by itself. Just don't even think, at this point we're doing structure. We're not doing formatting, all right? We're not even worried about grammar edits or any of those kind of things. We just really want to tell the people, this is the problem that I went through it too. I shared with that for you. Here's the solution. Here's how you do it. These are the things that work. These are the companies you can work with. These are the solutions I've got. This is the coaching program I have. This is what I teach. You're just going to teach your thing. Okay, now you're going to have, and we'll get to action here in a little bit, you're going to have a bigger course or a signature talk or those kind of things that are even bigger than what the book is going to encapsulate in it. Okay, that's pretty normal. All right, but in addition to that, you're going to give them the lead into that in your book. Don't have to. In most cases, if you've got a 6-week or a full year program, you don't want to give them a giant encyclopedia book. You want to give them the overviews of that and lead them to that. Teach them that thing. What's the one thing? Only one thing. There may be multiple steps to that thing, but what's the one thing that they absolutely need to know that would move the needle? A 1-degree needle shift, millions of miles out of the future, is a massive, massive difference in where they'll end up at. We just need to help them take that next step. What is that next thing? Okay? And then after we teach it to them, we're going to take it away from them. Okay, so what if you don't do it? All right? This shows up in things like, oh man, I wish I would have known that sooner. Have you ever taught somebody something and they're like, man, I wish I would have met you 5, 10, 20 years ago? Wow, why didn't you tell me this last week? Oh boy, I wish I would have seen this, would have known this before I did that. I have people tell me this all the time with their books. They're like, man, I wish I would have met you before I wrote my book. I spent 5 years writing my book and hated the whole entire process. And you're telling me that we could do it in a month, and then it could be relatively pain-free, and that your team does most all the work, and yet you can't even my words? What's the advice you would give the younger version of yourself? To say, hey, younger me, here's some things you need to know. Here's some things, the advice that I didn't have, that if I would have, and I'm not talking about, woulda, coulda, should haves in your life, but I'm just talking about the wisdom that you've gained over the years that you've lived. The thing you learned this morning in one of the sessions that you're like, oh man, yeah, now that I know that. Those are the kind of things that we do in step 3. Okay, step 3 is always our downturn. If we were writing a fiction book, this would be Han Solo and Luke Skywalker trapped in the trash compactor. And, the droids are outside trying desperately to save them. And they hear the screams. And C-3PO says, I've killed my master. Right? That's what 3 is. That's what section 3 is. It's that downturn. It's that we need to know the what ifs to be able to powerfully make the decision. We need to be empowered in choice, which leads us to our 4th step. And that's action, 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 action. Now, we want to give them one thing that they can do. It may have multiple steps. For example, if you're going to tell somebody, you need to drink more water, okay, that's the one thing. The steps to that might be things like, okay, so right now, turn away from the computer. No, don't read that last email. Don't worry about having to reply to it. It'll be here in 2 minutes when you come back. Turn away from your computer and get up out of your chair. Okay, now walk across the room to the kitchen, get out the glass, fill it up with water. Now drink some of the water before you leave the kitchen. Some people that are hydration specialists would probably tell you drink the whole entire glass of water and then refill it. The point being here is more along the lines of, don't just bring the full glass of water back with you and have it sit on the desk next to you. It doesn't, by osmosis being near you, get into you. That's also my cue in every talk to drink some water myself. It's really, really just about that one solution that they could do themselves right now. They don't even have to hire you. They can just do it. This is something actionable. You've gotten so many things from so many of the folks here in the room today that you can take action on. Now, the cool part about that is the other piece of this, and that's here's the next step you can take with me. And you've seen each one of us, okay? I want to invite you to be able to bring this outline, bring your already existing book, and let's talk about the story you're telling and how your voice is showing up and what you could do to up-level that. Or the story that you've got out there and how you could really, truly market that. Now, one last thing we'll do here is just make a couple of notes to yourself of a story that you could tell that goes with each of those sections. Stories about you as a child, story about, when you discovered the thing. Those kind of things. Stories about the person who said to you, oh my gosh, this has changed my whole life. I wish I would have known it 10 years ago. Okay? Again, I want to say this so clearly. I want to make sure you hear it. We want to take one point, make it really clear, and then give them a clear action on that one point. When we try to do a bunch of things, we just confuse people. Complexity confuses, clarity converts. A great book, the best books, they don't try to say everything. They just say one thing so well that the readers have to act. Now look down at that paper. Congratulations, you just wrote a book. It may not be finished. It doesn't need to be finished. It just needs to be the truth. It just needs to be you, that passion that we talked about before, on paper. We can talk in more detail about how to be able to get that together. If you want a second set of eyes on it, I did put a QR code here in the middle of my talk, or you could go to Ask Steve Kidd to let you just get on my schedule. I want to be that second set of eyes. I want to help you show up powerfully. What you've written right now today is massively needed, and I want to be the one to help you with it. I would love to talk to you about that. But let's move on, because that book is like building a really great foundation. Your house needs a great foundation. In order for it to stand for a long, long time, the house I live in now was built in it was built in 1900. So, it's like 120 years old, 126 years old now, right? Um, it needs a really great foundation. In fact, it really needs to be torn down and be a new house, but that's a whole different story. You need a really great foundation for it to stand for that hundreds and hundreds of years. Your book is that foundation for your entire business. The book is the beginning of the work. The book is day one. The book is the launch. Your visibility, how you use that book, how you shine that signal, that light inside of you, is what makes the difference. Writing gives you something to say, but being seen is what makes what you do, what you said, what you wrote, it's what makes it matter. And you matter. You absolutely do. You see, we buy from people that we know, like, and trust. Okay? We don't buy from people just because they wrote this really incredibly amazing, 30-second read, landing page that then gives them the capability to, be able to decide, though they've never known who we were before, this is absolutely, the person that I'm going to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars with. Now, people that know you, people that like you, that's real easy. They see that thing and they're like, oh yeah, I want this thing too. Oh, I didn't know that, that person was doing that. Oh, I got to have that too. Right? Knowing is based off of consistent presence. It's what creates the recognition. So that when the person says their name, when somebody says your name, you're like, oh yeah, I know them. Like if I say the name Oprah Winfrey, what are you going to say? Oh yeah, I know Oprah. I mean, have you ever actually met Oprah? No, but you know her, right? Spent so many years with her. You hopefully feel that same way about all of the speakers that have been on this whole entire time that we've been here, is that you know them. Oh yeah, I know that Steve Kidd. He's really amazing. Can't believe, that he is the person that he is and that he showed up and he talked to us about that thing. That knowing allows us to like a person. When the person is authentic, when they show up with their real voice, that's being liked. And when somebody likes us, that's then how we build that trust. And we buy from people that we trust. When you're finding yourself not closing sales, most of the time, it has more than anything to do with the fact that the people just don't trust it enough yet. They just don't know you well enough to be able to trust you at the level that they can say, oh yeah, I'm going to spend that $5 or $5,000 or $5 million. So do people know you? Do they really feel like they know you? Do they like you? Do they like the who that you are? And most importantly, when you offer them something, do they really trust you? Do we deliver value that earns confidence? That's the reality of reach. Because there's 100 million, at least, books on Amazon. And most of them nobody knows about. The average book sells less than 40 copies ever in its entire lifespan. Okay? There's a coupon code in the swag bag for you to get a free copy of the ebook of the Art of Expansion 2026 book for free. If all 200 of you went and got that, I hope you do. It's free. We did that for you on purpose because I want you to be able to take all the speakers home with you. That would be 5x the average book just from every one of you here in the room. Good work goes unseen all the time. And we tend to start taking it personal when what we're doing in this world isn't showing up in the way that we want it to, isn't making the impact that we want it to. What we do is we start seeing Amazon as the big algorithm monster. It hates me. Amazon's buried my book. I'm buried on Facebook. I did a post and nobody saw it. But the thing is the algorithm doesn't really hate you. It doesn't know you. It doesn't know who you are. And the reason is consistency. Consistency is what's going to create the recognition. And recognition is what creates that trust. Consistency isn't about showing up and doing it once. It's not about, randomly, occasionally you come on. It's not about, one day you're posting about, what you had for lunch, and the next day you're posting about your kids, and then, every so often you pop in something about your business. It's about people consistently knowing exactly who you are and what you do. Regularly, reliably, recognizable. I love the picture that's with this one, where the girl is just everywhere. She's on the bus, she's on the big bulletin board, she's on magazine covers everywhere. And the people are pointing at her and they're going, hey, that's her. I know her. That's recognition. When your voice shows up again and again and again, you want to do it until the world can't help but notice that you're there. Be so visible that you're sick of what you're saying. That's just about the time you get to the point where people are just beginning to start to notice what you're saying and who you are. What makes that book come to life more than anything else is reviews. Reviews on any product, good or service. I'm going to use a book because that's what I do. They're what really amps up the credibility. Think about it. You're here in Provo. You're, going to have dinner tonight, you and a couple of friends, and you're trying to figure out where do you want to go to eat. But you're not from Provo. And so you don't know. And yeah, you could go with something that's a brand name chain restaurant kind of a situation. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's as good as the one in your hometown. Or you could go to something that is the kind of food you really want, but you've never heard of that store before. What do? You look at the reviews. You see what everybody else is saying about that. And from that, you begin to make your decisions. When you move from no reviews to 10 reviews is when you get to the point where it's like you go from a concept to something that's real. When you take that all the way up to the point where you have 100, 1,000, 10,000 reviews, then you're so credible. You're reaching out. And you can't just have had 100 reviews 10 years ago and now nobody's saying anything about it. You know how it is. Again, that same restaurant. If it got, 5,000 5-star reviews, and the last person that reviewed it was 5 years ago, the question that we always ask ourselves is, well, what's happened over the course of the last 5 years? Why is nobody saying anything about it? Not for vanity metrics, not so you can be like, oh, look at me. I've got, my book has 81 reviews as of today. Not that kind of thing. But rather so that you can really, truly be visible to the people. Every time we get a new review, it amps up our signal. It amps up our credibility. It will increase, when you talk specifically Amazon, it will increase your ranking slightly to greatly, depending on the category you're in and how well you did your SEO. All things that I do every day for people on Amazon listings to help you really have what you do on Amazon, especially your book, really, really convert. Reviews are something that you need to do consistently. And reviews are something that we have a system built in. We can absolutely guarantee you, find you real live human beings and, and get you those reviews. And that's about as close to a pitch as I'm going to get to you today. What I do want to do is I want to take a minute here, and I want you to really just look at true visibility. Raise your hand if you have a podcast, if you have a show that you have that you have or would like to have guests on. Okay. The question is, are there any people that you see around the room that don't have their hands up, or even the ones that do have their hands up, that you could really use them as a guest? Are there any of the people that have been up here on stage that you're like, oh man, I want to have them on my show? Okay. All right. You can put your hands down. Raise your hand if you'd like to be a guest. Now, all of you that had your hand up a minute ago, look around the room. Look at all these people that could be guests. Some of them, they have their own shows. You could swap with them. Now, when I do this live in the room, I'm actually literally going to take a minute or two here, and I'm going to have the people actually go get the name of at least one person that they can either be a guest on their show or have them as a guest on their show. But we'll move on in this case. Ultimately, though, when you're a guest, you want to be thinking, what are people going to remember? What are they going to anchor your credibility to so that they want to do work with you? See, business cards, when we get them, and I don't know about any of you, I didn't even bring any with me. Any of you that I've met, I'll just, connect with you via Messenger or what have you. You can even take a picture, take a selfie with the people and then send them the message. And then later on, you can be like, oh yeah, that's who that was. Okay. But business cards, they sit on your desk, and then eventually, at best, they get swept into a drawer. Usually they get swept into the trash. But we don't usually throw away books. Kind of always feel like we're, doing something evil if we throw away a book. And so we don't do it. It may sit on your desk. It's always that constant reminder. And when somebody does read your book, oh my gosh. Whether your book is really short and a person can read it in 15 or 20 minutes, or it's super long and it takes 2 or 3 hours, that is 15 minutes or 2 or 3 hours that a person invested in getting to know you, in learning who you are. Every single page they read, even if they don't finish the book. Because, anyway, there's lots of statistics I could talk to you about. The longer your book gets, the less people are going to finish it. But every moment that they spend in your book, they're spending time with you. That's powerful. That's another one of the reasons why I recommended too. We did it last year and we did it again this year. All the speakers being in the book, so that you've got something you can take home with you, so that you can build a level of trust with each one of the speakers here, because your book becomes that multiplier effect. It makes that massive impact on you in ways that nothing else can. Your book is going to open doors for you to be a speaker in an event that without it, they won't even consider you. And all speaker coaches are going to tell you, that are getting you booked, are going to tell you, you want to have your book to be able to, let people go home with you. Okay. When it comes to media interviews, I can tell you, I've got a syndicated radio show that's more than 11 years old now. And I can tell you, in media interviews, there is nothing better than being able to have that person's book. You know what they're about. And especially when you can then Market them as, today I'm talking to the best-selling author of the book on. And lastly, your book really helps create a cool capability for you to collaborate with people. This is what I do. This is what you do. And there's a really great synergy there. It can make a really great collaboration. And your book gives that credibility for you to be able to really, truly make an impact. It multiplies everything you're going to do in your marketing exponentially. My encouragement to you is, we went and I did all of these with you. Write your book, but then use and market your book, and then let the world know. You've got to intentionally have a marketing plan for your voice. Okay, I told you from the beginning, your book is the thing that your marketing needs. Absolutely. Your marketing will never reach the level it could without a book written about it. You need to be the person who wrote the book on it. But then you've got to continue doing the work. You need a marketing program for that book. And not for the vanity metrics, not for any of those kind of things, but just simply because somebody's waiting on you. They don't need the perfect version of you. They don't need a polished, wonderful version of you. They just need you. The you, just as you are, showing up, making the difference in this world that only you can make. Somebody's waiting on you. Because good work doesn't fail. It just gets lost. It gets lost because you don't have a consistent, clear way of connecting with people. Clarity in that signal, that voice, that shining light inside of you. That's what's going to get you the recognition. Sharing that clarity consistently is going to create the trust. And then it allows you to connect. And when we begin to connect with people, that's going to create the momentum. Now, at the event, I actually have a handout that I'm going to be giving. I'm going to be walking people through filling out the handout. For those of you that are watching this live, though, I want to offer you the opportunity to know what's actually working, why it isn't, and what you can do. Not guesses, not hopes, but things based on a lifetime of media experience, a lifetime of visibility, 40 plus years running a marketing company. I want to give you clear realities about your message and how you can make it visible and how to take that next move. If you have a book, drop the link in the comments to this live, and I'll do that. If not, that former slide that I showed you, just go to askstevekidd.com. Schedule a time on my schedule. Let's talk about the book that you need to write. Judy's been on this live. I saw her a couple of times. Judy is just itching to work with you to help you develop that story in a way that's going to make it show up and make you say, hey, this absolutely is the book. This is what I've wanted to put out in the world. I can feel Judy jumping up and down right there in her house right now, just at the thought of that. We're here to help you. And yes, as quickly as this time next month, your book could be out. Not rushing you. Take as long as it needs to take. But the system doesn't have to be difficult. I want to be here to help you see what's true. AskSteveKidd.com. Jump on my schedule. Let's really do it. Because your somebody is waiting. The problem is they just can't find you yet. You need that book. Without that book, it's going to make it really difficult for them to really know, like, and trust you. And without, more importantly, the marketing of that book, We have all of that in place. If you've got a book, we absolutely can show you how to consistently show up. Good rankings, good recognition, the people that are looking for you, what you should be doing to market that story. We absolutely can do that and want to do that for you because your someone is waiting. Now's the time for them to find you. Don't let them go another day without finding you. So that's the signature talk. I've actually got, according to the little button there, I only went 56 minutes. And according to the timer on this other slideshow, I went about 53 minutes. So I've actually even got a few minutes in there for the places that I said I was going to have the room do some interaction. Good stuff. I love how Judy said, yes, okay, I'll make my bed. No, okay, now I'm not going to have to make my bed. See, I gave it to you and then I took it away. All of those kind of things. It's really important for you to understand that what you do in this world is so needed. There absolutely is somebody that's waiting on you right now. Your voice, that signal, that beautiful light inside of you, it needs to be shared. It needs to be in a book, absolutely. We need to make that book a bestseller. And then we need to continue ongoingly do the marketing for the book so that it doesn't just sit there and wish that people were getting it, so that it's being seen, used, and resonating with the world. I appreciate you letting me take the time today. I know that usually our lives are only about 15 minutes and we went an hour. I appreciate you being here for as long as you were here, for every minute that you stuck in or didn't. And I just needed to practice this one time at least live in front of some people. I appreciate you. I want you to know and understand that, not just is somebody's waiting on you, not just that they can't find you yet, but I want you to understand that you have a purpose. You are uniquely brilliant. You were created for a purpose. The world needs you. We need you to show up and be exactly, perfectly the you that you are. And I'm here to help you any way I can. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'll still be here at home for most all of next week, and then we'll still keep doing lives one way or another, from Provo the week after that. And all of my travels, we'll still be taking you with us and having a lot of fun doing that too. But until we're together again next time, I'm here for you. I want to help you. And I hope that you have a really great week.